Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Championship Rounds podcast. On a very, very sad week in the sport of boxing, sadly, former three-time super bantamweight champion Israel Vazquez passed at the age of 46. Known for his historic series of fights with Rafael Marquez, the veteran with 9 more title fights sadly passed to cancer this week, and in a real tragic day for the sport, a complete warrior. Put some of the best fights on with Marquez, especially of all time. One of the most exciting fighters of the last 20 odd years, and it's really, really sad that he's passed this early in life. So yeah, R.I.P. Israel Vazquez. Moving on to the boxing this weekend. There's quite a lot to get through. There's cards Friday night, Saturday. There's a ridiculous amount of boxing on this weekend. But I think it's right to start off with the ESPN Top Rank show on Saturday evening. 2 world title fights, 2 rematches, and 2 very, very good first fights, I think. We'll start with Navarrete against Valdez, the second fight. And this fight's grown on me a lot in the past sort of few weeks since it was announced. When it was announced, I wasn't really that excited for it, but now I am a little bit, Taj.
It should be closer, honestly. I rewatched the first fight with Dan the other day, and it just I don't think Navarrete is gonna be the same really. Like I think he's regressed like a good amount since since Valdez. He hasn't won a fight since then. He arguably should be 0-2 since the Valdez fight. So
I mean, it's quite lucky for Vasquez that Navarrete has regressed as much as he had because, I mean, we watched the first fight the other day and it didn't really get competitive until Navarrete's hand went, and even then, still kind of took a beating.
yeah, no, I don't think Valdez won more than 3 rounds of the fight, and that might be even too much, really. He couldn't start anything. Like, he was just sat there in front of him, just like hoping and praying to land a left hook, and sometimes it landed, but when it landed, it didn't do anything. So it just if his best punch can't can't affect Navarrete, then what are you gonna do? Honestly.
And that's bad because apparently his game plan was just to knock him out. I mean, that's not a very good game plan. I mean, he should have had the exactly. He should have had the exact same game plan he had against Butchell. Oh, that makes no sense. You just move on the back foot and counter a guy who
you hit hard enough to have someone like get hit on the end of your shots. You don't go forward trying to land missiles on someone who doesn't react to 99% of punches.
I mean, like he didn't gauge the range once in the 12 rounds. He hasn't figured out the range. It's going to take him a few rounds to figure out that range if he can, because he couldn't get anything going, and he couldn't defend anything. The range was killing him.
Made his face a grotesque mess at them. Like, his face looked crazy.
You know, Navarrete he's one of these fighters over the last since 5-6 years that everyone sort of thought was quite bad, but has been quite good. If that makes any sense, like he's so unorthodox. His feet are terrible. He throws punches at all these awful angles. Like everything's wrong, but he's been very effective. But since the move to super featherweight, like the size advantage isn't there anymore, and like apart from the Valdez fight, he's looked terrible.
Yeah,
even the Wilson fight, like even
he
going
didn't
back
look
to
good.
sort of the Baez fight,
No,
like
he lost every round in that Baez fight.
yeah, and then just stopped him.
Got dropped versus Wilson. He arguably should have lost to Conte, so he lost to Baranchik. Like
Also against Wilson, by the way. People forget this. I am 100% convinced they have fixed the scales there.
Yeah, definitely.
100%
Of course,
convinced.
Wilson didn't come in at 127 or whatever it was.
126 and a quarter.
Wilson is huge.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell he weighed that low.
Like, and the only good performance he's had is Valdez.
It doesn't really look good on Valdez.
Yeah.
Someone he has a big size advantage over.
Yeah. But it's for me, it's just like there's red flags there for Navarrete. Like now, even in this fight against someone that he has beaten very conclusively, like he's looked awful against Conceição apart from the knockdowns. Like apart from those knockdowns, like he did nothing in that fight. Baranchik, he just looked terrible. Like no engine, no second gear. Like he just looked awful in that fight. And Baranchik didn't really need to do a lot to beat him. Really, like, and now he's coming back down in weight to a weight that he's only really made twice because he didn't make it for Wilson. He could have gone off the rails in the past like 6-7 months after the Baranchik fight. You know what he's like the way he eats and the way he doesn't really train properly, especially after a loss. That's going to get worse. Like Valdez, for all his faults, and I don't think he's that good, Valdez. But one thing he does do, he's constantly training.
Yeah, I mean, he is always coming in shape. I mean, no matter what weight he's at, he's always coming in shape.
I've never not seen him. Him being in shape is the reason why he's able to take so much.
Yeah. And that's why I think this fight is a lot more competitive than the first fight.
It's significantly more competitive.
Yeah. There's just so many red flags for Navarrete.
It's like he's regressed and Valdez like actually on the comeback. Like I know he's only had that one fight since then, but you can tell he's like a better fighter since like Conte saw the first Navarrete fight. Obviously, he doesn't fight the same really.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good against Wilson.
He had a couple of early rounds where he the size was a bit of an issue for him, but after that, man, he looked really good.
Wilson's just a huge dude.
Yeah.
He just needs a different game plan. Different game plan, he can win this fight. I mean, I picked him to win because I thought he'd fight exactly like he did against Pachel, and he didn't.
I guess we gotta bank on him doing what he should have done the first time this time.
Yeah, because this fight is really about, has Navarrete regressed enough that he can't put on as half as good a performance as he did, and can Oscar Valdez adjust and finally get something going against that style?
There's so many unanswered questions here. There's so many unanswered questions here. Like, there's so many question marks for me.
Yeah, and most of those question marks can't be answered until they're both in the ring, which is why it's so hard to pick a winner in this fight.
Again, funny, just how we mentioned on the last episode about the Turbia Bivol, how we've seen them fight a whole 12 rounds, but it's still like up in the air what's going to happen. This one's a little bit like easier than that fight, but it's still pretty difficult to figure out what's going to happen. If Valdez is going to fight completely opposite, if Navarrete is I guess hopefully Navarrete doesn't break his hand. It might be different if he doesn't break his hand like last time.
I mean, he just really has to do the same. I mean, not much. Don't really change anything, to be honest. He just has to do the same.
I worry that he doesn't have the gears. So that's one thing he showed against Borincic, and one thing he showed against Conceição is that he just didn't have that extra gear anymore. And I worry about that, and I think you need that to beat Valdez.
Maybe it's like a mental thing, like you said, where he's like better against the guys, but he has a massive side advantage. Maybe that just gives him confidence that he can do what he needs to do. Because Conceição is a very big guy, and Wilson's a very big guy, and then he's just like, yeah, I can just bully and keep Valdez on the end of my punches, which he did because he's so much bigger. Because Valdez is very small, super featherweight.
I'll probably end up picking Navarrete in this fight, but I honestly have no confidence either way. Yeah, like this is one of the fights that I just can't pick a winner in. Even though I've seen them fight and it's been conclusive, like it's just.
I think I'm gonna pick Navarrete this time because I think he's still awkward enough to make Valdez second guess everything he's gonna do, and then probably go back to him like panic punching, trying to just like praying that he touches Navarrete, which is what he did damn near the whole fight, and was forced to do late on when he had one eye for like the last like 4 rounds. I think if he's half as what he was the first fight, I think he'd win like a closer decision than the first time.
I tend to agree with that.
Like where Valdez barely won any rounds the first fight, I think Valdez might win like 4 or 5 this time.
Because even if he does switch up the style, like is he going to do enough to be able to win a decision, or does he have to knock him out?
I feel like he has to knock him out.
Yeah, and
that's almost impossible. It seems like he's been down one time ever in 42 fights.
Like if your like biggest shot of winning against someone is you have to knock them out.
Very slim.
Especially against someone like Navarrete, who is so much bigger than him.
He hits hard enough. He can. It's possible he can do it. It's just not probable that he will.
Yeah, I mean he can, but
I don't think he can land that Bert Shield shot. I think that was like a once in a century punch.
No, I think he can. He definitely can against someone like Navarrete, but he is more defensively sound than Burchell, who's just
running forward, and he was already compromised.
Yeah, and he'd have been bad for 10 rounds.
But I don't think Valdez can make him. I don't know. I think Navarrete is going to win a close decision. That's my prediction.
I tend to agree. But honestly, if Valdez just went out there and totally outboxed him, like I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like it's just one of those. Like it's such a weird fight for me to like try and pick. Like I guess. But anyway, moving on to the best fight of the weekend, in my opinion. The first fight last December, I believe it was one of the best fights of last year. One of the upsets of the year, actually, as well, because nobody was picking Espinoza to beat Robeisy Ramirez. Both men went down in that first fight. And it was just a fantastic fight. High volume, loads of punches being thrown. And yeah, this one is a really, really good fight.
It's another hard one to predict.
You know, with this fight, I've got a sneaking suspicion that it's gonna be like another rematch that we've seen years and years ago. I've just got an image in my head of Sergio Martinez against Paul Williams.
I don't know about that.
But the first fight extremely close. Both men went down. The second fight, they both had an interim fight. Second fight, they come back. Paul Williams probably a bit done at the weight, you know. And yeah, I can just see this because Robeisy did that in the first fight. It was just not as heavy, and it wasn't, and it was right at the end of the round. If that's at the halfway mark in a round, Espinoza gets stopped there. And with Robeisy's speed and his time, like I'm just gonna be honest there. I'm a massive Robeisy Ramirez fanboy. Like, I just ever since he was an amateur, I just think he's just been brilliant, man. He's a brilliant fighter. Like, but I just see him winning this fight. I think in the first fight he boxed an extremely arrogant fight. He was loading up on shots and was letting Espinoza work. And by the time he realized, oh, I'm down in this fight, I need to pull something out. Like, it was just too late. Yeah, it was just too late.
He gave up the first 4 rounds trying to land a perfect shot. He finally landed the perfect shot at the end of round 5. But then he started to beat Espinoza up like 6, 7, 8. But then he was just exhausted from just loading up on everything. And then lost the last 4 rounds. And if there was like another minute in that 12th round, he probably would have got stopped.
Yeah. It's like if there's another minute in either of the rounds that are knockdowns, that fight's a knockout. Either way.
Yeah.
But he just fought an extremely arrogant fight in that first fight. He was loading up on everything, trying to look for this one shot. And like, I don't know, man. Like Robeisy, he's so much better than that. That's my point. He is so much better than that first fight.
I mean, I think it was just Espinoza's style, man. It just gave him so much trouble. I mean, he just sat there waiting for the punch. I mean, that knockdown that he scored in the 5th round, that is avoidable from Espinoza. I mean, we watched it yesterday, and he
switched. Yeah,
he switched.
Just put his hands down, thinking he wasn't as close as he was to Robeisy.
Yeah, and Robeisy can like explode in like that, like, really quickly. And the knockdown for Robeisy is more worrying because I think it was an accumulation of punches. Those punches were taking their effect. I think that's why he was slowing down and lost a lot. Like
crazy. Like Espinoza, like 3-1. Like Espinoza, I think threw like right under 1,000 punches.
Yeah,
and basically threw maybe like a little less than 400, if that.
Yeah, something like that. And Robeisy, he wants time and space to work. That's where he does his best work. Espinoza just doesn't and wouldn't give him it.
He doesn't give you time to really think. He's throwing 10 punches by the time you think to set up 2. So.
Yeah. And I mean, Robeisy, he does his best work on the front foot. And I mean, if Espinoza's not pushing you back, he's sat on your chest in the middle, and you're just there fighting, throwing.
And he is like an underrated boxer. I know, like the couple fights, like most people have seen of him, he's taken a lot of head punches, but like so technically, he's a pretty good fighter.
Yeah, I mean,
it helps that he's 6 feet tall.
It's just the length that
I think even bigger than
massive. He's so big, and he hits so hard. And like he's really tough, and I mean he can take a punch. Like he was still going, even getting hurt, still taking big punches.
It seemed to be like on one leg too for like half the fight.
Yeah, and he had one leg for half the fight as well. And that second half of the fight was still like even as well, or maybe he might have even won it actually, because he won 9s as well. And he won the second half. He got knocked down.
Yeah. I worry about the weight for him.
I do. That's the
Yeah.
He already mentioned it before the Cherino fight, and then now before this fight, he's mentioned it a second time, and it's just like I don't know if he is safe to take as much as he's been able to take. Now that he's worrying about his weight.
But remember what I mentioned last night with when he only landed one body shot the whole fight, something like that. Robeisy, when he was headhunting.
Headhunting the entire fight.
Yeah, he fought such an arrogant he fought such an arrogant fight in that fight. Like,
I mean, look, I think that's just how he fights. I think that's just him. I think he's just gonna fight arrogant because he's been so good, so dominant. Like even back in the amateurs, he was so good in the amateurs. I think that's just how he fights. He's just gonna fight his style, regardless of who's in front of him, and expect it to work.
I don't know. I feel like I have to wait to see the weigh-in to actually I have my pick, but I feel like it will change depending on how they look at the weigh-in.
Well, I think if you're picking Robeisy, it has to be by knockout. I don't think he's going to do enough to win a decision.
Yeah,
because, I mean, when it comes to like scorecards or like points for that first fight, Robeisy wasn't close to winning. That was like an 8-4 fight.
And they were being generous with the majority decision.
Yeah, because he lost the first 4 rounds, won the next 4 rounds, then lost the next 4 rounds, and they both had a knockdown each. So that basically cancelled it out. 8-4.
Right now, I think I'm going to pick another Espinoza decision, which might change depending on if he looks like a mummy on the scales or not. But I think he might do it again.
Yeah, maybe he's just one of those guys that just looks like death at the weigh-in, but it's just fine when it comes to fight night. Like just those big guys.
Doorstep of a coffin.
Yeah.
I just got that knockdown in the 5th round in my head.
But that's avoidable. That's a mistake. That can be avoided if he just doesn't make that mistake again.
But I just don't think he's good enough to not make those mistakes for a full 12, like against that level of fighter. He was like against the Sanchez fight, like he blasted through him, but like there was still technical mistakes there. Like he was still switching really weird. He was still sort of throwing these weird uppercuts and leaving his chin hanging out in the air. Like there's still technical mistakes with him. It's just the volume that you've got to deal with. Like most pressure fighters, like there's openings there. It's just, can you deal with the volume and the pressure?
I don't know if Robeisy can handle that again. He got outthrown 3-1. He doesn't have to match volume with him if he's more accurate, but if he's just gonna ignore the body like he did the first time, then it doesn't matter. It's gonna happen the same way. And he might get stopped himself if he's just gonna let it happen again.
Yeah, I mean, if he's taking that much punishment again, I mean, let's say though that 5-8 doesn't happen again. I mean, if that 12th round happens a couple rounds earlier because he's still continuing to take punishment.
Yeah, that's my final prediction. I think I'm gonna get another Espinoza decision.
I mean, after rewatching the fight, I am picking Espinoza again by decision. But I mean, it's also mental. I mean, Robeisy's gonna be like, he's gonna really want this title back. And Espinoza's been champion for a bit. Maybe he's not as hungry as he was because I mean, he was just like some random guy came out of nowhere, just got a title shot.
Didn't even have a complete box record.
Yeah, I mean, he just didn't look like he was going to be denied that night. Is he going to have that same hunger and that same fire again? I mean, that's also something.
We'll find out.
Yeah,
is he gonna? Yeah, you picking Robeisy?
Robeisy knockout.
Robeisy, second round knockout of the year.
Yeah, second round knockout of the year. Espinoza face planted, like just.
So you're hoping for a KO2 to match your Williams Martinez.
Yeah.
Scenario.
Yes.
The first fight also was a majority decision too.
Yeah. Well, when you said rematch, the first one I thought of was Lewis Hoffman, and then the second one I thought of was Roy Jones, Griffin. Yeah. And then you said that one, and I was like, oh damn.
That makes way more sense.
He's gonna die. He wants him to get killed.
The little southpaw, yeah, knocking out the massive orthodox fighter. The first one was a majority decision where both went down. Like it's happening.
True. Although, I mean, it was a bit that first Martinez winning fight was closer.
True.
Because that was genuinely.
Yeah, this fight shouldn't have been a majority decision. But yeah.
He just needs to not wait. That's what Robeisy needs to do. Not wait, attack the body, and don't be 4 rounds down.
And stop looking for the perfect shot as well. Like,
yeah, because maybe actually he wasn't really. I was like, maybe he's looking for the perfect shot after he got knocked down, but he wasn't. He kind of started on him and was beating him up, and he hurt him again in the 6th or the 7th round. Like his legs went, and then he just kind of stopped, and then he was just getting broken down, and didn't really do too much for the rest of the fight. He just sat there. He just sat there waiting.
He's gonna be a really, really good fight again, or it's gonna be really dramatic. Like, I can't see how this isn't either good or extremely dramatic. Because
it's either gonna be in the list or on the thread.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah. What notes is it gonna go into?
We'll continue with this card, I think. Yeah. What actually is there on this card? Steven Navarro is back. An exceptional prospect. He's like pretty much every top ranked show. This isn't it?
Same.
Yes, it is.
Delgado.
It's the same.
It's Torres. It's the same prospect versus overmatched opponent.
In fairness, this Isaac Munoz for the Richard Torres opponent, he had a relatively competitive fight with Jermaine Franklin. Like, this is okay. It's not awful. But yeah, like, Top Rank have really, really good prospects, and they bring them along really, really well. But like,
spread it out.
Same thing. You get one good fight on a card, and then all of the rest are prospect builders, and it's just like, yeah.
Look, I'm doing it every week. Every week I do the schedule. It's a top rank card with a pretty good main event, maybe a good co-main event, and it's a bunch of top rank prospects versus random Latino fighters.
Isley, Torres, Tiger Johnson.
Yeah, they're just fighting some tough
Latino
fighters, Hispanic fighters.
I really, really like Steven Navarro. Like, he is really, really, really good. Super flyweight, 20 years old. Like, he exceptional amateur as well. Like,
I think I've seen his last fight.
He's really, really good.
Oh, yeah, he fought on the Munguia Bazinian card.
Yeah. He's one of these guys that Matchroom were meant to be signing, and they just totally messed up the deal.
He was also on the Leo Lopez card.
Yeah. He's a really good fighter. Moving on to Puerto Rico on Saturday, same night. Liam Paro defends his IBF super lightweight title against Richardson Hitchins in a fight that is extremely, extremely close with the books. They pretty much have this one as a pick 'em, like very, very close odds wise.
Well,
I don't know if it should be.
I don't
think it should be.
I mean, I reasonably
I'm pretty confident
heavily favor Paro in this fight.
Yeah.
But look, like the type of style Hitchins has, I mean, it's not that he can't win. It's just that you don't want to pick him to win.
You don't want to pick on the win, and I don't feel like he has the style to go like another gear to get the win. Like Paro went through kind of some death punches against Matias, like to dig in deeper to like win those rounds. I don't think Hitchins can do that.
Yeah, because
I don't think Hitchins has it in him to go to a second gear.
It's not easy to fight against Hitchins' style, but like it can be easy-ish to pick up the rounds when they fight like that.
When they're not really doing a whole lot to win the round. Paro at least throws like a good amount of punches in a round, even if it's a slower pace fight. Because in this fight, Paro will most likely be coming forward too. So.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna have to come forward, otherwise nothing's gonna happen. And I mean he can come forward. I mean he can fight.
We've seen against Hitchins, he's not a great inside fighter, obviously. Paro got all the experience he needed with a puncher like Matias to know how it is in the inside. He doesn't need to. He mostly doesn't have to worry about what's coming back at him, power wise.
Who was the last southpaw that Hitchins fought? Is it recent? Am I forgetting someone obvious?
I'm not sure if
Jose Sabeda, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. That would make sense.
Yeah, but he didn't look good at all at that fight. Bowser was also a southpaw.
Yeah, he's had 2 southpaws in his last 3.
Well, at least he got some preparation, I guess, fighting southpaw.
Yeah, but those two, like Bowser, that's where the second gear comes in because he should have stopped Bowser the way he was beating on him. It seemed like he didn't, and then Zepeda, he did like basically the opposite. He just didn't try to do anything. Like he just stuck a jab out the whole time. And for most opponents that aren't washed at like a 2023 Jose Zepeda, that won't work.
Well, I don't know. Maybe Hitchins just one of those guys that has talent, doesn't really like up the gears and show it fully, but then just one fight he's just gonna show it, and this is gonna be it, and he's gonna look crazy.
I think the Lemos fight was the one that showed him because he probably should have lost the fight. So.
I mean, he should have, but I mean, in his defense, he did fight a battle. Like Muslim, Keyshawn did.
It's just not good. I think,
and I mean that was close enough. I mean, I only had Lemos winning by points.
Yeah, I don't know. With this fight, I don't know whether to. I don't think a knockout is gonna happen. Not just because of.
I mean,
Hitchins' style. I don't know about his chin because he really hasn't. Besides Lemos, he really hasn't had the danger of being hurt. So.
Paro can punch. I mean, if he gets in one of those left hands, you never know.
Hitchins has this style. Like, I can picture in my head just Hitchins against this sort of fighter just winning a really, really wide decision.
Yeah. So can I.
Like, he's got that type of style. Paro is brilliant. He's not some huge physical specimen that's going to come forward and press you and throw you about and get like. He's not that. He's not some mad like high output pressure fighter. That's the style that's going to give Hitchins trouble.
He's just a pretty good accurate puncher.
Yeah. And against Hitchins, like if you're gonna, it's gonna be like a fence. If you make it a fencing match with Hitchins, which this could be, I don't think like you're not gonna look good even if you do.
I think Paro would be stupid to do that. Fence with someone significant, like I think like 3-4 inches bigger than him.
Yeah, you would expect him to have a good game plan, not try and box with Hitchins.
He needs to fight with him.
But is Paro good enough to make it a fight and press? Like, he's not really that type of fighter, really. Really, like he's not. I don't know, man. Like,
it's hard to compare them because they really haven't had similar opponents. But
yeah,
we've seen both in their most recent fights fight on the inside, and one was significantly better than the other. I guess it's just a question if Paro can stay there.
I think Paro is an all-round much better fighter, but I think Hitchins has the type of style where he can beat somebody that's not exceptional at being a pressure fighter, if that makes sense.
He could have the perfect game plan for just specifically Paro.
You know what though? This being a world title fight isn't like I don't rate Paro that highly. Like even with the Macias win, I don't rate him highly, and Hitchins I don't rate highly either. Like I really don't think this is an exceptionally high level fight.
Paro's not an excellent champion.
I mean,
somewhere in the middle, but
he's just okay.
I think he's pretty good. He's not like crazy.
When we do the tier list at the end of the year, he will probably, if he wins, he'll probably be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, he's middling champion. Like he's not exceptional. He's not exceptional at anything.
Yeah, I mean, in our division rankings, I mean, I had number 1, but that's just because
140 is kind of
Tiffany was just too inconsistent, and Devin Haney, I don't know what Devin Haney's doing, but
you're not rating Alberto Puello.
I mean, I have a number 1, and I mean Jack Harrell. I mean, he could be number 1.
Another fighter that's not that good. Like
140 took a nosedive into the ground.
Yeah,
140 has about 15 or 20 fighters that are okay. And no elites. Like it's got about 15 or 20 fighters that are just okay. Oscar Duarte, okay. Junkenbayev, okay. You know, Gabriel Valenzuela, okay. Like there's no real sort of standout guys there. There's no real elite fighters there.
I mean I mean usually that makes for like a good division. It's always competitive and they can just beat each other on any given night.
Yeah.
I mean that was kind of like 154.
Just worse.
Back in the day. So, like,
just I don't know, man. Like I guess Paro's gonna win. I think Paro will probably win, but
I think
it's one of the. It's what
I'm picking
same
Paro
decision.
I don't think it's going to be too clean because Hitchins' style was just one of those styles. It's hard.
Such an ugly fight.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're like a Golovkin or like a Chocolatito or something, it's just really hard to fight against that type of style.
Would you be shocked if you wake up on Sunday morning and you see Richardson Hitchins via 118, 110 X2, 117, 111 UD?
No.
Exactly. Like
that would be very unfortunate.
You can see a world where Hitchins just wins a really, really, really boring but really wide UD.
Yeah, I can.
Just don't put it in my world, please.
Yeah.
I don't want.
But yeah, I'll pick Paro more on hope than expectation. But like, I don't know on this fight. But I think Paro just like. But yeah, it's not one that I've got a strong opinion on, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's just one of those fights, really. I mean, who knows what could happen? Anyone could win. Styles.
Yeah. But it would be a sad indictment if we end up with Richards and Hitchins as
Don't
the
put
number
in-
one.
Don't put in there, please, God.
Mark Castro is back on this card against Augustin Ezekiel Quintana. Mark Castro, to be honest, when he turned over, had so much hype, and he's not going to deliver on it. Quite simply, he's not very good.
He's just an all right fighter. That's not really going to go anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be stuck here for the next couple of years. He's going to have an inflated record.
I'll tell you what is a good fight. Henry LeBron against Christopher Diaz.
Yeah, that is a good fight.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if LeBron's good enough to be someone as experienced as Diaz.
Because Diaz, he can box really well, but he can also punch.
He's a solid fighter.
He gave Navarrete a really tough fight, even though he got stopped.
And he also beat Isaac Dogboy, and I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah,
he beat
I was there. I was there. Dogboy didn't win like 3 rounds. That fight was horrible. Period. But he's only lost to former world champions.
Yeah.
Ito, Stevenson, Navarrete, Dogboy.
And LeBron, that Foster fight was very, very close. I don't think you can score it 95-95 like one judge did. I also don't think you can score it 99-91 like another judge did.
Yeah.
It was a very close fight.
Well, I'm not entirely sure who's going to win, but this is a good fight. Good step up for LeBron. This is how you build a fight. This is good matchmaking.
I'll probably edge LeBron just because
he's just fresher.
Yeah, he's a lot fresher. But it's a really good fight. And with the situation with the IBF rankings at 130, the winner of this is for an IBF some sort of IBF bum belt, the international, continental, global, super duper belts, whatever they're called. One of those bum belts that don't really mean anything. The winner of this probably gets a top 5 rating with the IBF.
Yeah.
So
that's all they really do. They just give you a good rating.
In an ugly fake belt.
Yeah.
They're meaningful, but they're not meaningful. If that makes any sense.
Make it a whatever it is. Just don't give me a belt for it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't give me any accolade to win an IBF international title.
Yankiel Rivera comes back on this card against Angel Gonzalez. Yankiel Rivera is a good prospect, former Olympian. 6-0, he's being fast tracked. He's got a good WBA ranking. Coming off a really good win against Sandoval. I haven't seen anything of Angel Gonzalez, I'm not gonna lie. Or have I? I might have done. No, I don't think I have. He looks like a small ball fighter, but he's unbeaten, so who knows? He hasn't really been in with a high level of opposition. But
you don't rate Ira Terry? What's Terry?
Ira Terry, Jesus. Yeah, but he's God knows, but I think Yankiel Rivera is going to be a world level fighter at flyweight.
Didn't he have a really worrying performance recently? Where he was hurt, he was hurt.
Really the bad. Velasquez fight, yeah.
He was hurt really bad.
He was hurt really, really badly, but in that fight, he won every single round apart from round 9 where he almost got stopped.
Yeah,
it was one of those where he dominated the fight, but then in the round that he lost, he almost got knocked out badly. He was all over the place for the whole round.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was round 9 of that fight, I think. Yeah, round 9.
Yeah.
But that happens though. He got caught. He was fine.
Yeah,
but,
I thought it was only his 5th fight.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean that much.
I just hope the problem I have with Rivera, it's not really his fault. he's with Matchroom, and the way Matchroom move fighters at the lower weights, like I just don't think they have any idea what they're really doing, to be honest. Like they just don't understand the landscape of most of these lower weights at all.
Well, most of them don't, because they just think it's not that meaningful. There's been like a long history with these lower weights that they need to like put some respect on it. Like even lower than what Rivera is.
Yeah. He's a good fighter, Rivera. No, but interesting to see how he goes. Like, I think if you can make the other Sandoval, that fight in the next year, that's a good fight for him. Or if you can make like an Angel Acosta fight or something like that. Jaleel Hackett comes back as well on this card. Other than that, there's really not much. Actually, I say that there's a couple of fights between unbeaten kids and that look like they're okay on paper. Not that I've seen either of these, but there should be a couple of good fights on there. But we don't know about them, so we're not going to go into them. London on Saturday night at Wembley Arena. Denzel Bentley against Brad Pauls headlines. Magnificent 7 card. Frank Warren. Pauls versus Bentley is a final eliminator for the WBO title at middleweight. 11 months or 13 months ago, Denzel Bentley got scored by Nathan Heaney. Now he's in a final eliminator. About 18 months ago, Brad Pauls got schooled by Tyler Denny. Now he's in a final eliminator.
That's crazy to think about that. Bentley got schooled by Heaney. Then Heaney went and got knocked out by Pauls. And then Pauls lost to Denny. And then Denny just got ran over by Shiraz.
This is the thing, with middleweight, especially in Britain. For about 2 or 3 years, there's been all this talk about this domestic middleweight mix, and anyone with a grain of sense can tell you Hamza Shiraz is levels above all of them. Anybody could have told you that. But not apparently, like, oh no, these fights are brilliant, all this. Like, the way Shiraz has been wiping these guys out, like, look at Tyler Denny. Tyler Denny beat Felix Cash, beat Brad Pauls, beat all these guys, yeah. River Wilson Bent, McCordy McGowan, like he's beaten all these guys. Derek Osaze had a very close fight with Linus Udovia, like, and then Shiraz goes in there and blasts him out in 2 rounds. Shiraz is the best middleweight in the country, and it's not very close at all. Like, you can talk about Liam Williams and all this crap, and River Wilson Bent going to give him trouble. No. And Denzel Bentley is a level, but like multiple levels below Shiraz. Like, Denzel Bentley is a British level middleweight that's barely British level.
You've seen the only like American or like non-British fighter Shiraz has fought. He's taken him a significant amount of rounds, where every other Brit he fought took him 1 or 2 rounds. In the last 2 years.
Yeah.
The Argentinian dude who dropped him even took him like 5 rounds.
I was at that fight and I can't remember his name. Torres, was it?
I'm not sure, but
the
significant difference of ammo taking him 11, and then Denny Wilson Bent and Williams taking him combined 5.
Yeah, we'll get on to Shiraz in a bit, but Pauls against Bentley. I was at Bentley's last fight against Derek Osaze, and right up ringside, like really, really close to it, and that first round, especially with like, you don't really sort of hear about it or watch it back because you see the massive knockout and you think, yeah, great performance. But that first round, Osaze was really, really putting it on him, and he hurt him multiple times. And you know when, like, it's weird when you're at a fight live, you see a shot land and you see the leg stiffen. and you can't pick it up on TV. But when you're right there, you see them stiffen.
You can hear the punch.
Yeah, and you can see his legs go a little bit. Multiple times against Navarrete-Valdez, you could see Bentley's legs going a tiny little bit for a split second. Like, I really worry about how he's taking punches now. I really do worry. And even against, I was at the, what's his name? Danny Dignam fight as well. Dignam landed a jab in that first round, and Bentley's legs stiffened up. Like, I really worry about how he's taking punches. Like, and this Paul's fight, the only way I can see him winning it is if he lands something massive on Paul's in the first sort of 3 or 4 rounds. That's the only shot I give Bentley in this fight. I really, really favour Paul's here. Like, heavily.
Has a pretty good chin, too.
Paul's has got a good chin. He's strong. He's fit. Got a good jab. He's very basic, but he's very good at the basics. Bentley isn't good at the basics.
But he hits hard.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Bentley can absolutely knock him out here. He can land a stupid shot and knock him out. Yeah.
So it's also like going to be a Paul's wide UD or a Bentley.
I really think Paul's is going to stop him. I think Paul's is going to beat him up and stop him late. I really, really do. And I think it's going to get quite uncomfortable to watch. I really, really see Paul's just battering it.
Well, like you say, then, I mean, Paul's can punch. I mean, look what he did to Heaney.
And Ben, I just have really, really, I've never really rated Bentley as a good fighter.
Well,
he can just punch.
I mean, at this level, let's just ignore that it's going to be a title now. Let's just assume it's a British level fight. I mean, it's pretty good.
He's an okay British level fighter because he can punch.
Well, I mean, sometimes that's all you need. Yeah. Really, especially at this level, that can take you places.
But I mean,
get you to places.
He was even hurt against Marcus Morrison.
I mean, it's interesting because he took Janovic really well, but then he's getting like
that's been Janovic's like most competitive fight.
Like hurt and his legs are stiffening, he's feeling punches.
I think I've got a theory with that. Like when you're going long distances in fights with big punchers that aren't really taking it seriously, like that can ruin you. Like Mikhailovic is going to be ruined now. He is done. Like his punch resistance is going to be gone. Like it's one of those fights where like they're just doing enough not to stop you. And like that fight against Janabek, like Janabek steps up the gears in that fight, he gets Bentley out of there, but he just didn't. But yeah, I'm really, really big on Brad Paul's in this fight, man. Really, really big.
I think I might pick up Paul's decision.
I can see Bentley going early.
I can see Paul's going early.
Like, yeah, this is the thing, yeah? The only way I can see Bentley having any path to victory here is landing a big shot early and knocking him out.
It could happen. That is most likely it's going to happen early. Just like if Bentley was to be stopped, it's probably more likely for it to be, I guess, either the first round or the 10th round, because he's like Fabio Wardley with getting hurt at the start of every fight.
But yeah, the fact that this is
like a tradition.
Final eliminator, man, middleweight.
Well, final eliminator that probably end up being like an upgrade title.
Boxing. Chief support on this show, I believe, is Sam Noakes against Ryan Walsh. For the British and Commonwealth, maybe the European. I don't know if that's on the line or not. But
Walsh deserves this, but I don't think he's gonna. Sam punches too hard.
Yeah, like
I know Walsh has never been stopped. Noakes has only barely not knocked everybody out because Yvonne Mendy has a alien chin.
I mean, I don't think Walsh has ever been dropped either.
Yeah. It was crazy seeing him do Reese Mold like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, he just absolutely killed Reese Mold in a round. And he's got a big opportunity out of it. And, you never know. He could take it. I mean, he's probably going to get stopped. I mean, it seems like the likely outcome that he's going to get stopped. But
or he could have a Yvonne Mendy chin. I don't know if anybody can have a Yvonne Mendy chin.
I think Ryan Walsh is good enough to make it to the second half and make the early rounds relatively competitive.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be early, like easy. But I think like a 7-8 round knockout.
I mean, Walsh seems like a guy that you have to break down.
Yeah,
but you're just not gonna kill him early. But I think you're gonna have to break him down.
He's not making the throw.
Well, he has been around so long.
I mean, if you break him down enough and then you just catch him, he could make the throw.
Yeah.
He has been around for so long.
Yeah.
And he only has 23 fights.
I mean, he turned pro in 2008, I think.
He turned pro, I'm pretty sure, on Amir Khan Commonwealth title fight undercard or a British title fight undercard, something like that.
He did. On a Frank Warren card, yeah.
Because they had the brothers, didn't they? They had all three of them doing that gimmick thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been a solid domestic level fighter.
It was Khan versus Gary St. Clair.
He's won the British outright feather or super feather or something. He's been a very, very solid. If you look at the sort of names he's been in with at domestic level, like Darren Trainer, James Terrison, Isaac Lowe, Reese Bellotti, Tyrone McCullough, Ronnie Clark, Jazza Dickens, Maxie Hughes, Reese Mold, Liam Richards, Lee Selby. He's fought everyone at domestic level around featherweight and super feather.
And his record for those fights isn't too bad.
Yeah, he's been a really solid he's been a really solid pro in Britain for the last few years. A really solid domestic level fighter, but he's coming up against a fresh guy that's probably above British level, just holding the British title, if that makes any sense. Big, strong, high volume, hard punching, can go 12, can keep the pace up for 12. He's naturally a lot bigger as well, Noakes, and it's just against a 38-year-old.
Yeah, he is pretty old.
And the thing with that last fight is it's a really, really good win, cleaning out Reese Molden around, but you're 38 and you've done less than a round, sort of thing. That fight was 2 minutes long. The thing about old fighters, you need to drag them into the deep waters and make them question if they still want to be there. A 1 round fight, although it's a really, really, really good win, isn't going to prove anything like that. If that makes sense.
I think Noakes. I mean, he's gonna go back to how he fights. Really. I mean, I think he knew that he's probably not going to stop Ivan Mendy. We've seen he has a great chin, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to box this guy for 12 rounds." Now we're just going to go back to what he does, and he's going to really stick it on him.
I think he could have stopped Mendy. I really think he could have. There was a point in that fight where, the 6th, 7th, and 8th rounds, where the ref is getting closer and closer and closer, and you're sitting there looking at it thinking, if you pin him and throw 10, 15 punches in a very quick period of time, even if the vast majority are missing or on the gloves, the referee's just going to step in.
Yeah, I guess British referees do love to do that.
Yeah, I think he could have done, but it was a good performance, and Mendy's tough.
Yeah, he could have got a British stoppage in that fight. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's big, strong, hits hard. It's just a bad matchup for Welshman. So yeah, Lawrence Okoli is fighting a German that I don't know. Lost to Jan Kosobutsky. And has done absolutely nothing apart from that. So Okoli's going to knock him out.
Coley's just gonna be on a knockout streak with these bad heavyweights. It's just not a good like at all. But,
well, maybe he fights the winner of a fight on that card. I mean, he probably will, I imagine.
I think Zhang versus Caballero is the WBC interim. Coley has just vacated the WBC title the way below, technically, whether you like it or not. He's ranked number 5. This is for a WBC silver title. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes in for the winner of that fight, is Zhang Caballero.
I mean, that's a pretty big jump.
he needs to have
the winner
ladder fight.
The winner of Dakers, Adelaide, that would be a better. That's who I would put a Coley in with, well, was Frank.
Yeah, but
he would.
I know he's like you compare the levels, but he hasn't been a heavyweight like that long.
Yeah, but Solomon Dakers hasn't been good ever, and neither has David Adelaide. I'd make the fight with Wardley, to be honest, but
yeah,
that's better. But I feel like Wardley's closer to where he wants to be than a Coley is because he just got to heavyweight. So you might not want to deal with that.
I mean, that's a crazy jump to Zhang or Caballero. I mean, they're 2 top 10 heavyweights.
Yeah, but like nobody cares about a Coley. Nobody wants to watch a Coley fight. Like, who cares?
Well, he probably doesn't want to die, and I don't think Frank wants to throw him into the deep end when he's just signed him.
Who cares? But like, Frank's got all these heavyweights. Like, you can just do like any fight you want. Like, we'll get on to it. He's just made a heavyweight title fight in house.
A Coley can't do anything he wants if he's dead.
Oh, yeah, that's a fair point. We mentioned it. Dakers against Adelaide, English heavyweight title.
I mean,
they're both terrible.
It's not a good fight.
They're both terrible.
I don't even know who's going to win.
Who's going to be more? Who's going to be less?
I'm pretty confident on who's going to win this fight.
Maybe Dakers could just.
You think Adelaide's going to win?
No, Dakers is going to win.
I already put in the boxing news app that I think Dakers is going to win. Adelaide's never been good. Just like Dakers is like at least like big and like technically sound. Adelaide's just.
Who's going to be the worst of the two on the night? It's going.
Adelaide's a big, stiff, muscle-bound idiot that can't box. He's a bodybuilder, and he's been hopelessly inactive. His last fight was a devastating loss.
He hasn't fought since Wardley.
Yeah, he hasn't fought since Wardley because he attacked the ref after that fight and had to get through a board hearing. Like, this is the thing. You can't go around attacking refs.
That was over a year ago too. Yeah, no, he's cut.
Yeah, like over a year of inactivity. His last win was like in June or July 2023. Like, yeah, his last win, the last time David Adelaide won a fight was before Crawford Spence.
That sounds crazy.
Well,
oh no.
If it goes how we think it's gonna go, that is gonna be even longer since the last time we won a fight.
So yeah, like Dakers is terrible, but like a UD here for Dakers, like more fresh, just like better technically. Yeah. I tell you what is a very, very good fight that's sneaking under the radar a little bit. Lewis Oakford against Alois Jr. That's a good fight, Like Lewis Oakford he's been on the small horse scene. Gave John Hedges, the Matchroom prospects, a really, really, really good fight, like a really close fight, and that got stopped on cuts. And he lost a technical decision. Then he went and beat Devon Miller, who was like had a lot of hype behind him in October on a good win show. Now he's fighting Alois Jr., who's big.
For a minute now.
Alois Jr. is a big, stiff bloke who's been knocking out crap opponents and then came up against Berardi last time, who's Not brilliant.
But
He's okay. Better than these other fighters, and actually had ambition, and then sneaked the 6-4 decision. Oh my God, he's not good.
He's given 8 rounds on one card.
Yeah, he's a big stiff idiot. But yeah, I expect Junior to win that fight, but Oakwood's a good test for him. I think that would be competitive. Pierce O'Leary is fighting TBA. I don't even know if he's still on this card because they've got a deal agreed for him to fight John Fernandez for the European in March. They're doing that fight in Ireland, I think. And I don't even know if he's still on this card, but who knows? He's fighting TBA. He hasn't got an opponent. Royston Barney Smith, Billy Adams, and George Grotti are also on this card. But yeah, prospects fighting crap opponents, so we won't talk about that. Frankly. There's so much boxing this week, man. Done that. Danny Quartermain, Jack Bateson's a good fight. That's on the GBN show. I think I expect Quartermain to come through that, I think.
The Quartermain decision.
Yeah, I mean, he did look good in his last fight. Quartermain. I mean, he got dropped in his last fight, actually. Who was it against? I can't remember who it was against, but he was dropped in the fight.
Was that on that card where the Italian pulled the upset against the prospects? Oh, what was his name? There was a fight that I made a load of money on the GBM card because there was an Italian that was 9-1.
Oh yeah, it was against Trereggi, wasn't it? He was meant to fight Worthy, and then this guy came in later replacement.
Yeah, Niall Berry, Francesco De Rosa. I made a load of money on De Rosa that night.
Oh yeah,
they did mention that on commentary. Yeah, he did not look. That was a bad performance.
Niall Berry's also on this card.
Well, I mean, obviously we know Jack Bateson for getting stopped in the last round.
Yeah, make a Quartermain decision with that one.
Well, I mean, if Quartermain fights how he actually fights and boxes and uses his brain like he didn't do in his last fight, he should win a decision. Because, I mean, Bateson has had trouble with boxers before.
He got battered by Shabazz Massoud.
He did get battered by Shabazz Massoud, yeah, but it was really bad. I posted it on YouTube earlier and watched it.
Lost every single round and got stopped for the last. That was a really bad beating. There's a couple of see the thing with GBM shows is he is sort of the British version of Pro Box in a way. He gets guys that are have lost a few fights and whatever, and puts them together and makes a good fight. Like Levi Giles, Kez Ashfat, that's that sort of fight. You know what I mean?
That's a good fight.
They've both lost a few times, but put them together and they'll make a decent fight of it, sort of thing. But yeah. Carlos Cuadras and Adrian Curio are returning on Friday in Mexico. Iman Kataya fights on Saturday. Dylan Moran, Tyrone McKenna fight on Saturday in Waterford of all places. I have no idea why Pro Box TV are deciding to go to Waterford for a fight. Nobody's there, nobody lives there. What? I just don't get that fight. But yeah, that looks like an okay card. Zoltan Zarbek's in that card, but the main event of this weekend, the fight that will bring the world to a standstill.
Oh my God.
The WBA Heavyweight Championship of the World from Sofia, Bulgaria. Manuel Shah against Kubrat Pulev. What do we think of this one?
The combined age of 80.
Yeah,
you don't think of this one.
To tell you how exceptionally old Kubrat Pulev is, 2022, he was the oldest list participant. against Derek Chisora.
He was what, 41?
Yes.
What?
Well, I mean, look, Char's not very good. Pulev is not very good, at least anymore. I mean, he was okay back in the day.
No, he wasn't. He's awful. Pulev is one of the worst fighters I've ever seen.
For the division at the time, which wasn't great, and he was okay.
The Klitschko era.
Like Fury said. Like, all you need to say about Pulev: 6'4" from Bulgaria, no money or nothing, comes into a heavyweight title fight, stands in a ring like that. There, some big, stiff, stupid European fighter standing in front of a man that can knock a wall down, a bum. That's what Kubrat Pulev is, and Kubrat Pulev was that 10 years ago.
Look, I mean, this says more about Char that he's probably going to lose.
No, Manuel Char was getting put into orbit by Maurice Breeders, like in front of a Russian dictator about 20 years ago.
9 years ago. In 2015, he got killed by Maurice Breeders.
In an 8-rounder in front of Ramzan Kadyrov.
And apparently Char has an injury going into this fight. I can't
remember. Good.
Is it? I think it might be a torn bicep. I don't know what it is.
Who knows?
But he's going to lose.
Yeah. Enough on that.
Please, no more of that.
One fight to keep an eye on: Dayan Gonzalez fights on Friday in Liverpool, live on Box Nation for the IBO featherweight title. He's Cuban, based in Dubai. Trains in Liverpool. It's an exceptional fighter, and he'll be signing with a UK promoter after this fight. And you'll be seeing a lot more of him on British TV. So he's one to definitely look out for. Yozdil Napalez fights on an untelevised card, and he'll get a top 5 WBA rating as well on Friday if he beats Armando Rabai. So that's another one to look out for. But yeah, there's so much boxing this week, we can't mention all of it. There's loads. There's so much, man. Just looking at the BoxRec schedule, there's a Japanese card as well on Unext. Oh my god, there's too much boxing this week. The news. There's one piece of news this week that's relevant that I think we should go through. February 22nd card got formally announced. 7 fights on it. Callum Smith against Joshua Buatsi. Israel Madrimov against Virgil Ortiz. Zhilei Zhang against Ajit Kabaya. What else? Joseph Parker against Daniel Dubois. Beterbiev Bivol 2. Hamza Shiraz against Carlos Adames. And Shakur Stevenson against Floyd Schofield. Now, this card is ridiculous.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous.
For it all to be together, it's pretty crazy. Some fights on there I'm not a fan of. I'm not gonna lie.
Only one of them.
It's also one I think it's gonna be a pullout. So.
Oh yeah, one's gonna be a pullout. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We'll get that out of the way first, actually.
Yeah, Ortiz and Madrimov are not fighting.
Yeah, Madrimov and Ortiz is not going to happen. Like,
yeah, let's be serious.
To think Israel Madrimov is going to fight Serhii Boachuk, and even if he wins really well, to think he's going to be ready and on weight in 8 weeks' time to fight Virgil Ortiz is utterly ludicrous.
I do think if this was the actual only fight that he's fighting, I would pick Madrimov in this fight.
He's not. I'll put a tweet out after the announcement. Virgil Ortiz is going to be winning by KO on February 22nd. It's just not going to be against Israel Madrimov.
It's going to be against a former super lightweight.
They're going to bring someone like Josh Kelly in. No, but they are. You can see that, can't you?
Like, I'm looking at this card and it looks way better than what's actually going to be probably two fights on this card are probably not happening, and one shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, but what about Baturbio's mandatory injury?
Yeah,
that's true.
That's the whole thing.
His annual injury he needs to.
Like, when doesn't he get injured before a fight and it has to be postponed and rescheduled?
Yeah, and then Parker will be the main event.
Maybe like a quick turnaround. I mean, maybe it could be better. I mean, he's not getting younger.
Who knows?
But,
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't really have a problem with any part of this card. I know Taj doesn't like Shakur Schofield, and you probably don't like Cameron Smith.
No, I like that fight.
Smith's fine, but
because
there's no reason why Shakur and Schofield should be in the same ring. That's not what we should be doing at this point.
There's multiple reasons why that fight's happening.
I know, but it shouldn't.
It's not good, but
it's actually pretty. I'm kind of getting irritated knowing
that
happened.
What has he done to deserve a Gervonta Davis fight?
What has Schofield done to deserve a world title shot?
Yeah, but what's he done to deserve a Gervonta Davis fight?
Yeah, what's he achieved to deserve a Gervonta Davis fight?
Disgusting.
Nothing. Just 3-division world champion.
I just hate all of them, man. They're just so annoying.
Former ring champion, but what has he achieved to deserve a Gervonta Davis fight whilst fighting Lamont Roach?
I'm so tired of it. That whole era of fighters, how they were trying to replicate some 4-king shite. It's just so goofy.
Yeah, and the only Gervonta Davis opponent who's achieved more than Shakur Stevenson is Leo Santa.
Sarge, I've got a question for you.
What is it?
What's worse for a world title challenger at 135 pounds? Mark Chamberlain or Floyd Schofield?
Jesus Christ Almighty in heaven. Well, that's just. It's just
there you go.
Yeah, but it's Jesus Christ.
Well, the answer is Mark Chamberlain.
It's even worse because of what Schofield just had happen. He's already a prospect that should not be anywhere near a title shot yet. But on top of, he just had his first real development fight where he had to get up off the canvas off someone he was should have had a showing performance against, and then he's being thrown into a former pound for pound fighter, fringe pound for pound fighter. Let's be serious.
Well, I mean, he called out. He's been calling out for the fight for a while. I guess he got it and
doesn't deserve it, and Shakur shouldn't have obliged to it because it gives him nothing. There's no point in this fight at all.
Well, who else?
It's a marking time fight.
I know.
Who else would Shakur for?
Exactly. I know. Everyone who's available, or everyone he should fight, is not available or just not fighting. So this is the best he could get.
I mean, at least it won't be the co-main event. It's not the main event, obviously. Maybe it'd be the 4th fight down. I have no idea.
Yeah, on the poster, it's the 3rd fight.
Well, I would assume that they put the 2 heavyweight fights below the main event.
But hopefully, saying Cabello at 3rd, and then probably Ortiz Madrimov 4th.
Because, well, whoever actually Ortiz ends up fighting.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I just forgot about that. Yeah, they're not fighting.
And I don't know who. I mean, really, Shakur Schofield should probably be 1st or 2nd.
Should be 1st because it shouldn't be on the card, but it'll probably be 3rd, 3rd from the start. It'll probably be ahead of Boazzi Smith.
Yeah, they'll probably put Boazzi Smith 1st. Then maybe they could put Shiraz Adonis.
I think. I really do like this card, though.
Yeah,
I like most of it.
It's a great card.
Shiraz finally getting his title shot. Dubois Parker is way closer. Zane Cabello is interesting.
what was it? Yeah, the Shiraz thing. It's just a play from Queensbury. Like, they're getting the winner of this Saturday, a shot at Janabek, and they're getting Shiraz the title as well. So, like, it's a really good play from Queensbury. It's the politics. They understand politics pretty much as good as anyone in the game.
I mean, they should. Frank's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's doing.
Yep. Smith Buatsi, I think it's a cash out for Smith. I think he's done, and Buatsi is going to absolutely pummel him.
I don't think you're allowed to talk about Calvin Smith.
But Buatsi is going to absolutely pummel him.
I do think Buatsi is going to win, but I think you need to.
Buatsi should win.
Ortiz Majimov's not happening because Jaron Ennis ducked him.
Yeah, if it was to happen,
let's be clear.
I'll pick Majimov.
It depends how good Majimov comes out of that fight against Boyachuk, though. Because if he gets like hurt against Boyachuk and stuff and goes for a war, then actually fights Ortiz. Like,
I say if I'm treating this as a fantasy fight now.
Look, I mean, you can't like expect to go in a fight with Boyachuk and not come out with somewhere in there. I mean, you're not coming out unscathed against Boyachuk. Yeah, because he could lose that fight. He could lose that fight. He's not coming out of that fight unscathed.
Pick like a near 50-50, like 51-49. I'd probably pick Boyachuk, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not coming out of that fight unscathed, and to be in healthy conditions of fighting, pretty much.
You're not
exactly 2 months. Exactly 2 months later, not happening.
That's not happening. And you're not shinning Boyachuk early.
It's 20 odd weeks in camp. It's 20 odd weeks straight in camp. Like, it's not just a fight. You're going through 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks of sparring for Boyachuk. Even if you blast him out in a rounds, you're not going to
keep 154 for another 2 months.
Yeah, you're not keeping your weight down for that long, and you're not going back into sparring and back in. Like, your body's going to break down. You can't do it.
This isn't 1960.
Yeah, and in 1960 they fought like 7 times a year, so they didn't have to, or even more. So
and a lot of those fights were bumps.
Yeah, a lot of those fights were terrible opponents, and they didn't really do camps. Their camps were the fights. They were fighting so often, like they didn't do camps a lot of the time. Like maybe they like did a bit of a camp, like a little bit of a camp, but not like a full on, like full camp.
Full on cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Like they just had to fight loads of guys because they didn't get paid a crazy amount like people get paid now.
Shakur, I think Shakur's going to stop Schofield, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just like a pointless.
Yeah,
it's so goofy.
I mean, he really should stop.
He should, and again, it's Shakur Stevenson. He most likely won't stop him because we assume he should stop him.
Well, I mean, against people that like aren't crazy punchers, I mean, he does actually take some risks and throw one punches, come forward.
Yeah, and look, and it doesn't. Sometimes it still doesn't work. He tried to punch holes through Hartunian, and it did nothing.
Well,
he tried to punch. He tried to make Hartunian look like a Swiss cheese. He didn't.
Well, I mean, he's more experienced than Schofield. Maybe
he's punching with all his might, and it's not doing anything. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he could take a better punch. It's tougher, possibly. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Shakur knockout, sure. Just for him to win a 119-109 decision.
It just depends how he's feeling, I guess. Does he want to just win, or does he want to win?
I hope he wants to win, because it hasn't seemed to want to do that for a while.
I think the most confident fight, apart from Shakur, I think Shiraz is going to take Adama's head off.
He's going to. How I've seen Shiraz, the fight doesn't reach the second half.
Yep. I'm undecided on Beterbiev. I say I'm undecided. I've got to think about it more, but I'm leaning Beterbiev stoppage right now. But I've got to think about that more.
Me too. It's gonna flip flop like it did the first time.
Yeah.
I'd probably lean towards a Beterbiev late knockout. Like I probably assumed the first time. But...
I'm leaning towards I don't know. I'll discuss that in the preview.
2 months from now.
In 2 months time.
episode like 30 something.
Yeah, I've got to watch that fight 20 times before I get a preview. Oh, a prediction.
Yeah, well, Zane Cabello.
I mean, there's just a lot of outcomes for that. Who knows?
Zhang Cabello, I think, like, it's the most easy fight to forecast, but you don't know how it's going to win. Like, if Cabello makes it out of the first 5 rounds, he wins quite easily.
No, he's got to make it to the second half.
Yes, but I don't think he'll make it.
I don't think he'll make it either.
I don't see Cabello.
If he does make it,
yeah,
I'm undecided.
I think Cabello is getting his head taken off personally, but
straight left down the middle.
All I'll say on this, we're gonna give the Ortiz Madrimov thing, you know, oh, it's ridiculous that fight got made. Blame Jaron Ennis. Blame Jaron Ennis for being a dark mate. That's what I'll say. Because he didn't want that fight. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah. And if you're unhappy with who Ortiz is going to fight, Jaron Ennis as well.
Yep. Blame, like, this is how you know, yeah? This is how you know that Jaron Ennis didn't want that fight. If there was a slight way you could spin it, where you could say that it isn't his fault, Hearn would have done about 16,000 YouTube interviews blaming everyone else. But he's been silent.
He's only given one excuse, and that's all. He would have had to vacate his title.
Yeah, he's been silent. Yeah. You full well know if there was a way that he could spin it, he would have done that. But Jaron Ennis did not want that fight. And there's not a lot of excuses for it because he would have got ridiculous money for it. He said he's done it like 147. And I've never really seen like it being universally accepted throughout 99% of, but like everyone in boxing is like sort of saying, well, yeah, he ducked the fight. Everyone. All the media, all the fans, all the people not involved in that situation, like everyone. I've never seen it like that. Like, it's a clear duck.
I don't even really want to discuss this too much because it's just aggravating to like see all these fighters just refuse to fight each other, just to keep the O, and just scared of him like getting embarrassed. You will literally be praised if you get in the ring and fight someone on your level.
Jaron Ennis needs to take the TS out of his name, and he needs to add another one. He needs to be called Jaron Boo Boo Ennis because he's having the exact same career as Demetrius Andrade.
It's getting to the point where it might be disrespectful to Andrade. I'm not gonna lie. It's getting disgusting.
Yep. One last bit of news. I think we've covered this card to death. Adam Azim is fighting Sergei Lipinets in a very good step up for Azim, I think. The Boxer and Shalom really, really mishandled him in the last year with the whole Dalton Smith European title thing. But like the O'Hara Davis fight and this fight have been two quite good step ups for him, I think.
Yeah,
that's a really good fight for him.
Yeah, credit where credit is due. Well done, Ben. You did something good.
Rare,
yeah.
But you know.
Well, you did a second.
I know you're listening, Ben. I know you're listening, Ben. I know you love listening to me.
You're talking to like I'm in your nightmares, Ben. I'm in there.
I mean, look. I mean, this is what you do with a prospect. stick him in with a former faded champion, see how he does. Step up after beating Ahara Davis against Lipinets.
Yeah.
Living has been in a lot of good fights, too.
Yeah, it's a really good step up for them. Well done.
Yeah,
well done, Ben.
His performance, is going to be like compared to other people like Booth and Mike Garcia, who have beaten him.
But yeah, this is an interesting time in boxing. A very, very big weekend this weekend. Not a lot else. Not a lot else the weekend after, I don't think, off the top of my head. Or is there? Oh, there's the Munguia card and there's the Carrillo card, isn't there? Raul Carrillo against Alexis Rocha.
Yeah, I think so.
And then the week after that, you got Usyk Fury. We'll have shows out for that. There's loads of boxing in December. There's like 10 title fights, I think. 3 which are on Saturday. So yeah, it's been a really, really like interesting time in boxing. All the links to all our stuff will be in the description as always. We're available on Spotify as well if you want to watch us on there or listen to us on there. You listen to people on Spotify, don't you? So yeah, thank you for listening.
Rest in peace, Israel Vasquez, and see you in episode 22.